Hello, SFL Nation. Nice to welcome you into the SFL headquarters. I'm SFL Commissioner Cameron Irvine, and if you've never seen me before, I'm the guy that's always pushing all the buttons behind the scenes to make sure we can get sim football out. We are on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, have them all pulled up across the league. Some quick chat shout-outs, Ronnie Nickens, James Klein, 16, DB, Kenny Lamar, Optimus Klein, Pseudo Nakai, across our platforms, Jack Brown, Ray Bentley in the house as well. My first co-host tonight, you might know him as the Logo, and he is one of our most esteemed play-by-play broadcasters. He's also the wide receiver for the Queen City Corsairs, and that is Chris Curtis. How you doing tonight, Chris?
Doing all right. Glad to be a part of this. Glad to be talking to everybody in all the different platforms that Simulation Football has, and it's good to be a part of this league at a very at a very nice and growing time for this league.
Absolutely. Bad Dynasty saying aloha, and thanks again to everybody. Thank you, Jack, for the compliments on the clean look. So just as a place to start tonight, I thought, with the growing community that we've had, it might be interesting to many to find out how the league really came about. I was probably 14, 15 years old at the time. Really started to just kind of get into this zone of boy, wouldn't it be fun to be, the NFL commissioner or things like that? But I didn't. Of course, naive, right, Chris? I mean, I didn't know what all was entailed in that that job. But it's a childhood dream. But it wasn't. I want to be the commissioner of the NFL. It was. I just want to have my own thing. And so it actually started on Blitz the League 2. Did you ever play that game, Chris?
I played a little bit of Blitz the League for not very long. I think I played a total of like 5 or 6 games with a buddy of mine. But the original Blitz franchise was what I was into.
Yeah, and the Blitz, there were positives and negatives about both games, but at any rate, that game didn't have CPU versus CPU. There was no way to sim. So on my own, I was keeping track of a season, and I was actually controlling both teams, trying to be impartial as I played and sort of simulating the games. And I kept track of it. And I remember going after school. I remember going to my mom's classroom. And back then, computers weren't as sophisticated, and sometimes a good one was hard to come by. So I would go into the classroom to work on this website that I had built, that was tracking all the scores and stuff. And that was sort of the private SFL before the SFL really existed. And then when Backbreaker came along, this was when I was 18. I just got on the boards and I said, is anybody interested in doing this? Now, this is before that game even came out. But is anybody interested in this concept? And the first person to send me a message is the team owner of your team, Chris.
Yeah.
Barkley sent me a message. He said, yeah, I'm interested. And I said, all right, what's your team? And he said, the Syracuse Six Nations. And I said, all right, one team in. Who else wants in? And 55 other people said they wanted in. So we said, great, we're going to have a 56-team league. We're going to do it. And what a disaster. What more naive, childlike hopes and dreams. It lasted
28
less.
Games.
What's that?
28 games.
Yeah, 28 games. No problem. It lasted 1 week, and it fell apart. Of course it did. Back then I didn't even know how to cast a game or anything. But like, Curtis, when you think about it, like, that was 10 years ago. Like, technology was not even there yet anyway.
That's not wrong.
No, yeah. So we did that, and then the next iteration. Okay, we've learned our lesson. We're gonna have 10 teams. All right, great. Where am I gonna do them from? My dorm room that I share with 2 other people. You know who you are out there. And boy, what a disaster that was. Can you imagine college dorms? Shut up. I mean, just unbelievable. Just it was hard. It was hard finding time to do some of this stuff. So that went on, and then we tried some NCAA 14, and the simulations were, well, not NCAA 14, but the NCAA
games.
The game series, and we did get a couple, or we did get a couple seasons in, and then trying to graduate college. You know how that goes. Just a chore. And so, we stopped, and I sort of disbanded, and Kyle Walsh, the former owner of Orlando, now an SFL Hall of Famer, he says, we can't just let this go. The SFL starts with 7 teams in 2013. Now I'm 28 years old, and here we are, about to complete our 14th season. So it's just crazy, Chris, right? I mean, I'm sure you've dabbled in a bunch of leagues before, and it's so hard to make stuff like this function. And when you find something that's been around for a while, you hang on to it because they don't last forever.
And you find something that has the magnetism that the Simulation Football League has
Right.
to its community of people, and you find people start to gravitate towards that concept, and of course there's been a bit of a genesis of people coming into the league last 2 to 3 seasons with the redoing of the SFL's Twitch and getting the engine moving as far as that goes. It's been an absolute joy to watch and to be a part of since I got into the league in season 9.
So a little bit about me, and then you guys can learn a little bit more about Curtis, because he's had a pretty awesome story, and his involvement with the SFL goes back probably farther than anybody else really realizes. But for me, I didn't know really what I was going to do with my life, like many people, in high school and in college, and I got the suggestion from my grandfather, why don't you go to the big football game this weekend and write a recap? And I said, why would I do that? Why would I do that? That didn't interest me at all. So I wrote a recap, and the next day, a managing editor or the next week, I should say, the managing editor from the San Antonio Express News, or one of its local affiliates, came in, saw the story, saw potential in me, hired me, said, "Hey, do you want to join our coverage of high school football in the area?" And I said, "Well, sure." So from that point on, all I ever did was work in sports. Worked for the Express News for a little while. Worked at my college newspaper. Got the job as a sports reporter in New Braunfels, Texas. Became the editor about 6 or 7 months later of that department. Was there for a few years, and then we moved, and I got a job with an indoor football team, the Texas Revolution, in Allen, Texas, where they have the big high school stadium. I'm sure you've seen that, Chris, right?
I think you and I went by it.
Yeah, the monstrous 18,000 seat high school stadium, whatever. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But worked for them, did a lot of different production type stuff, handled live streaming, filled in some time on radio, was really the media liaison, and did some public address. Got to really do a lot of things. Work with the graphics systems in the arenas, all the LED displays and all that stuff. So it was really, we really learned a lot. And then became assistant sports information director at Texas Wesleyan University, which I am currently at, and all that time been running the Simulation Football League, and use all of those tools and all of that experience to apply to what we do in the league. And so it's been it's been an awesome ride, but it's all led to us being here. It's all led to this day and these tough times that we're living in and dealing with, and just so happy to to be with everybody here tonight and just kind of sharing our stories as a league. Shout outs Lane Russell, the New Braunfels Unicorns. Yes, you're absolutely right. Love me some unicorns. Nathan Hall in the chat as well. Let's see who else. Mike and Prota's here. Coach Craven on Twitch. Shacker3, your favorite QB. That's an opinion. I'm not saying that. I'm not.
Subjective
Don't
usernames.
don't put
What
me
is
on
this?
blast about who my favorite quarterback is. But yeah, just reading off the names. Boy, that's gonna get me in trouble. So
Yes.
that's my story and my journey professionally. But Chris, you came to us through a game that I don't think anybody expected to take over the landscape, and that was Rocket League. And
Yep.
we ran in. You had a mutual contact. He happened to be a fan of us, and
Mhm.
your casting career started to take off, and you kind of got involved with us. So
Yeah.
what's life been like for you?
So we to tell you that story, we're gonna go back a little bit further. I, as a kid and as a young adult, always wanted to do things with broadcasting. I model a lot of my casting and a lot of my broadcasting after local guys here in the Detroit area. Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond. They do Red Wings broadcasts for the National Hockey League and different affiliates therein. Um, but that is where kind of that thought came into my brain that, you know what, I would love to do things like that because it was fun, it was exciting. I noticed little nuances back and forth, um, watching them over the years and being able to pick apart little things that they do and kind of molded into my own. And as I got a little bit older, a little bit more mature, yeah, you can laugh at that if you want. The um, it then grew into, okay, well, me with my disability. For those that do not know, I'm actually legally blind. And Cam can attest to this because he's seen me look very, very close at things, and I basically have to sniff things to get the full view of
It's
everything.
20 over what,
20 over
Chris?
200,
Yeah,
which
wow.
essentially means that for every 200 feet the normal naked eye sees at 20/20, I see 20 of those feet. So I have about a tenth of your vision if you have perfect vision.
Right.
Um, so it obviously comes with its own set of challenges. But as I got a little bit older, I started to realize, doing that, and you mentioned it in your broadcast the other night with the press box. Why does it have to be so far away?
Yeah. Yeah.
that's that's part of the realization that, you know what, that might not be where I end up. But I was between jobs. It was 2016. I was kind of looking for something to do to occupy my time while I was between jobs, and I came across the ability. And I had known Rocket League existed, but it took a little while to get entrenched into that community. And when I did, I started realizing, hey, you know what? I can actually do what I wanted to do for this game. There were already some limited people doing it. It was the very start of that particular esports scene. So I got in, I sent in an audition, I started doing stuff for Shift Pro League, which was my first actual casting gig in Rocket League. And it quickly became a weekly thing, where myself and whoever I was partnered with would do the last half of the tournament. That went into other organizations, things of that sort. I got noticed by a gentleman named Cloud Fuel, or Blake Toll. For those that do not know his actual name, he is the one who brought me into Rocket League Central. That was the overarching community organization with a lot of members that just wanted to see something done in the league and in esports in general. And through Cloud Fuel, who was already a fan of Cam and what he was doing with the Simulation Football League, because I was looking for other avenues, kind of
That
thing.
was that was crazy, wasn't it? I mean, I
It
didn't
really
even
was.
I didn't even know him at the time. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
no, and that's absolutely right, and that's something that he was saying. Like, I don't know that they even know I exist, but I mean, and then the um, so I got with Cam. I got with I don't even remember the first person I messaged when I came into the league. It might have been Cam. It might have been Andy. It might have been somebody that was underneath them at the time. But Either way, got involved and started it with the Tallahassee Pride preseason game, and I do not remember for the life of me who they were playing against. But either
I
way,
can't even
that was
remember
back in
you.
season 9.
I can't even believe you remember who was in the game. At least one team.
Yeah, it was, and my first touchdown call was a throw to Ken Gossett for Christensen,
Wow, and
um,
they're still
down the
here.
left-hand side. Yeah, exactly. It's 5 seasons later. It's been an absolute thrill ride, from beginning to now, and this, we haven't even hit the peak of what this can be. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of, and I got to meet a lot of great people. Obviously got to do the live draft special where I get to meet a lot of these people. I met Cam before that because I went down for the doubleheader for season 9 championship, the semifinals and the championships. That was good. It was when Mexico City had won that, and Cade Stevens was not in bounds apparently.
Season
That's a
9
trigger
was
for you.
fun. That was a fun season.
It really was, and there was it was kind of a corner for the SFL if I'm not mistaken, because it really kind of showed the potential of what it could be. And then season 10 is when it really started to take off, when we got Twitch involved. Cloudfield came back in the picture. We were able to get some connections done with Twitch to have SFL featured on the front page of
Boy,
twitch.tv, which was amazing.
TV is the hardest thing I've ever done, but that was the second hardest thing I've ever done.
That's no lie. It was an experience, and it's been a lot of fun since the start of it. Met a lot of great people, and going to meet a whole lot more as this thing grows.
Well, that's awesome. And you just got a new job, didn't you? Congratulations. Who
Thank
you
you.
going to be
Yep.
working with outside of casting?
I'm actually going to be doing. So, what's funny is I'm blind, legally blind, obviously. I'm going to be selling cars online.
Okay.
So
All right. So anybody that wants a random vehicle, contact Chris.
There you go. I love it. Yeah, I'm doing car sales for Vroom.com, which is essentially like a Carvana type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on exclusively online car selling. So that doesn't happen for another month before I start training on that. But Close One Chapter is my company, the company that I've been with the last 2 years, closed down, and then opening a new one with them in about 4 weeks' time.
I have to address this question that just came in from Ray
Okay.
Bentley. What's the third hardest thing you've ever done? Probably convincing my fiance that I wasn't a weirdo. That's probably the the third hardest thing. But anyway, I wanted to give a shout out too over in YouTube. Scrolling back up. I'm gonna butcher your name, so I'm not even gonna try. But hello from Portugal. Welcome into the SFL, and hello from the United States. And if you're not in our Discord already, please join. There's lots of people, lots of international people. So let's get to some questions. If you have a question for me about the SFL, about anything else, tweet us at SimulationFL, and let's get them going. So first, I want to start with this one that came in yesterday. This is from Timothy Rodrigue. He says, if I made an intro on the introduction board, that's over on our Discord channel, is there anything else that I need to do to get picked up for the SFL minor league? And to answer that question is it's pretty simple. What's most important is number one, checking in as a rookie in the rookie check-in channel. Okay, so what that's going to do is that's going to help build skill for your player. Your player's not on the field just yet, but he will be, right? Or she will be one day. So you want to bank that value. You want to build up that skill set of your player so that they can hit the field when it's time to hit the field, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is getting SFL subscription. And you do that through the SFL subscriptions channel. Just type upgrade and you see your options there. There's 3 different tiers. If you want to be in the pros, ultimately you'll eventually need a pro subscription, but don't have to get one right away. Although it does help give you priority in line for selecting your positions in the minor league, which starts in a month and 2 days, and we're super excited about that. So thanks, Timothy, for your question, and look forward to having you around and having you on a minor league team. The next one from Willie Beeman. He's a rookie quarterback. How did you come up with the idea of the SFL? Thanks for using the hashtag too, by the way. So really the idea of the SFL stemmed from that longingness to play the sport and not the video game. Curtis, what's your favorite game to play? You play a lot of games online these days?
Lately I've been playing a plethora of games. I have a collection of friends that I've been playing with for the last 10 or 11 years at this point. And generally with those guys, it's either the hockey series, NHL, or the Call of Duty series, whatever one happens to be out recently. But you could also go to Rocket League. Any one of those three would
You ever
probably fit.
you ever run into a 14-year-old who thinks he's better than you?
Just about every game, and also one that has claimed to have relations with my mother is a pretty
Whoa!
popular thing. So I mean,
Wow! It's around.
what 14-year-olds. So
Well, that essentially was the experience of a lot of people, and I felt
Yep.
like I just got tired of people throwing Hail Marys on 1st and 10 and nano
Yeah.
blitzing and just running the same play over and over and over again because all they wanted to do was win and beat me, and they didn't want to play football. I just wanted to play football. I just wanted to feel like a coach, right, of football. And it didn't feel like that to me. It got to the point where I was playing a good buddy of mine. We played a lot of All-Pro and spent a lot of sleepless nights back in the day playing All-Pro when it came out. But he was playing me in Madden, and he just kept running the same tight end play over and over and over again. It made me so mad. I was down 35-0. I punched a wall, and then spent a few days trying to cover up the fact that I punched a wall from my parents, and then I had to repair that wall when I was found out. So that led me to the breaking point of I cannot do this, and this is driving me crazy. And if people have a controller in their hands, they're just going to ultimately do anything and everything they can to win. I want people to have to play the game of football, to honor the game of football as much as I possibly can. So the controller's coming out of your hands and the computer's just going to run it. And you're going to have to sit there in agony with everybody else and watch it, just like a head coach would have to do on an NFL sidelines, just like an NFL owner would have to do in the owner's box. They have to sit there in agony. They don't have any control over stuff, nor do any of the players that aren't currently out there on the field at the time. So that's where it came from, and that's it's evolved from there, right, Curtis? I mean, I'm sure it just can be a crazy experience sometimes online, just dealing with that because
100%.
it's so obnoxious.
100%. I mean, the thing is if you give people the ability to find ways to manipulate an environment in front of them to their advantage, the human element is going to make them do that. So by eliminating the human element and making the AI a part of that, you eliminate that process, which is where the SFL would thrive. I do want to call out Mike Improda, who accused you of having an Italian temper about punching the wall.
I do love
I
me
don't know if
some
you saw it.
Italian food, so maybe it stemmed over, and that gives us a chance to send our love and hopes and prayers out to Italy because
Yeah,
it's just horrible,
it's and everywhere out that way, and even this way now too. It's hit. I think every civilized country in the world, I think, is affected by this in some way, shape, or form now.
Well, we're honored to be here and still able to provide entertainment because that's our mission and that's what we do. And I know the coaches work tirelessly to do that. And yeah, I mean it's a tough deal, tough situation. with that, let's transition. Let's transition to the next question from Facebook. Jason Wythe, I believe. Forgive me. And are you in specs, sir? That you might be helping out with all this crisis. If you are, thank you so much for everything you do. What is sim football is the question, despite the lack of question mark. Well, Jason, sim football is when, as we were mentioning, nobody controls the teams, at least not as the game is being played. In our league, we have 6,500 plays in a playbook in which we have coaches. They sort of they dramatically trim down the playbook to somewhere between 110 to 150 plays combined, offense and defense, and that's the only thing that the AI can call. And so what you're seeing every week on our channels across our networks and on FTF and 11 Sports, if you've never watched us on TV before, but what you're seeing is the countless the countless simulations, the countless work ethic, the countless strategy, film watching, all that stuff from SFL coaching staffs around the league. You're seeing their strategies playing out in front of you. And even though it doesn't look like anybody's controlling the game, because technically they aren't, they've put in a lot of work prior to the simulation. And all of that work is coming to a head. So if you have ever been in a chat before and wonder why is everybody freaking out so much over this, it's because they work their butt off to even just hit the field and be competitive in the SFL, because it's gotten to be so competitive with great coaching all around the league. And so sim football is essentially just, instead of two people playing with a controller, it's just putting the controllers in the middle, pressing start, and watching it play out, except it's not just any old random simulation. It's a simulation that has had a lot of work and effort put into it. All the players on the field are in the chats right now, and in the chats and game day, watching from their TVs at home, tailgating. I've heard so many awesome stories about putting some stuff on the grill and getting ready for the game in the evening, and so that's a lot of fun to see. As the commissioner. So
and Cam, before I take my leave, what's crazy to see is obviously as the SFL's gone to 11 Sports and into that realm, what you'll see is bars, you'll see restaurants, you'll see things like that put the SFL on their screens, especially now with not a lot of sports or any that are going live right now. To have that happen before everything is shut down, obviously, over this thing, to have that happen is something completely surreal when you see it, and it's something that back in season 9, who knew, right?
Right, exactly. It just you never know when your opportunity or when an opportunity comes up to be able to provide entertainment for more people than usual. But it doesn't happen if we don't keep working on it, and we just don't keep trying to get better. That's the only reason why we're here, and that's the only reason why so many people are with us tonight to watch and chill, whether it's live or whether they watch it on demand. You're with us, and we appreciate you. All right, Chris. Well, hey, thanks for taking some time with me. We're going to get our next guest host online, but thanks for being here and telling the community a little bit about your journey.
It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Looking forward to the rest of the season and the playoffs, and go Corsairs.
Go Corsairs. You can say that. That's okay for you to say now. You don't broadcast any Queen City games, so you don't have to worry about it.
There you go. Thank you very much, guys.
All right, Curtis, thanks so much. We're going to take a very short break at our next co-host on the air, and we'll be right back. You're chatting with me, the SFL commissioner, here on an off day. SFL action in Week 10 starts tomorrow. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hello? Hey, Kim. Yes, I hear you just fine. I am. How do I sound to you? Beautiful. All right, sounds good. I don't know why I'm nervous. Oh, okay. So what was that? It's crazy. Okay. No, I don't hear anything. Doing just fine, Cam. It's always good hearing your voice.
Oh, we probably should have. Turned on our microphones when we came back from break. How about that?
I guess that would help.
Yeah, we might as well start again. Tweet us at SimulationFL if you have questions. That's what I get for putting things on mute. I shouldn't do that. But we have Ashley Jackson, the co-host of SFL Nights, or the host of SFL Nights, I should say. She does an amazing job. Talks to a lot of people in our community. If you haven't checked her out, you can check her out through our Discord channel. She posts all of her podcasts and news alerts, and any of those links takes you to her entire library of podcasts. So, Ashley, how are you tonight?
Cam, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. How are you?
I'm great. I think there might be some people, especially maybe outside the league, that don't know who you are. But to be honest with you, Ashley, even though you've been in the league a few seasons, I don't necessarily know your history. What was your days like pre-SFL? What do you do? What's your life like outside the league?
All right. Well, I am Ashley Jackson, quarterback of Arizona, as he so graciously let you know.
The second time.
Outside of the SFL, I was a server, actually, for 16 years at a nice little steakhouse. I've worked at various restaurants, but the last one I was at was a nice steakhouse, steak and seafood, expensive, really, really good. Now I am a leasing consultant, so that is what I'm doing outside of the SFL. Family woman, my husband, my 2 children, taking care of them. That's a job in itself, so that's pretty much how my days are spent.
A leasing consultant. I gotta say, I've never known. How do you like it compared to serving? I bet now probably a great deal given all that's going on.
Yes, I do enjoy the fact that I do have somewhere to go. Some of my serving partners have actually lost their job. They've gotten laid off. So they are looking for something right now. But people are actually looking for apartments right now. I had at least 25 calls for people trying to rent with us, and I work, so we're all full. So
I recently ran into a Chick-fil-A delivery guy. He was, I don't know, maybe 17, But he looked so tired. You know,
Yeah.
I can only imagine. I mean, it was actually quite. I never thought this would ever happen to me in my life. We ordered Chick-fil-A today. It's sort of a treat. We've been sort of in the house for 8 days straight and haven't really gone anywhere or done anything. And I peeked my head out the door because he was having trouble finding our building, and I thought I saw the delivery person in his car, so I started waving them down. And the person rolls down the window, and it's a woman. And she said, "Are you 157?" And I said, No, we ordered Chick-fil-A. And she said, "Oh, I'm with Red Lobster. I'll keep looking." And I thought, that is the most bizarre exchange, I never thought I'd be having. So there's a lot of people working really hard out there.
Really, it is. And unfortunately, there are some people that have been laid off and that are losing hours and things like that. And, I do worry for those people. Everyone has a family to take care of, and everyone's life is being disrupted by this virus.
But that's why we're here, right, Ash? To bring joy,
exactly.
to bring fun, to bring excitement. So we'll teeter back into the positive here. So what's it like being a quarterback? You were in Tulsa, now you're in Arizona. Up and down season, roller coaster season, as it always is in the SFL. But you get to be QB with a very well run organization. What's just how's it been? What are the highs and lows like of being a player in this league? I'm sure you don't even care whether you win or lose or how you do. It's probably doesn't even matter to you, right?
I mean, it does. I can't say that it doesn't matter because I'm a very emotional person.
I'd call you a liar if you told me it didn't.
Oh, exactly. But I mean, you guys should see me on game days. I should probably record myself one day and put it on YouTube. Because it's a situation to where I take this so serious. I don't even eat before the game because I'm so nervous. Yes, we have had a hell of a season. We won 2 games that we were kind of wondering if we were going to win, and we eke those wins out. But by us being a new organization, trying to learn how to interact with each other, each other's players, and play with each other, it's a learning curve. And we are definitely trying to work out the kinks and everything. And I'm definitely looking forward to next season. I think we're going to come out a lot stronger than we have because we know each other. We know what our players' abilities are. I'm also co-GM of the Arizona Scorpions, so I'm learning that GM role, about player ratings, about how to properly make sure all of our players are doing their progressions and just making sure that we do everything in our part so that the coaches can have what they need to make us the best as we can be.
And you didn't start, just like a lot of us, you didn't start in radio. You didn't come from podcasting. You don't have million, that wasn't your profession. You're a waitress, you're a leasing consultant, but you've been able to sort of hone in on this podcast stuff. And I mean, I don't think I've known anybody that's loved podcasting more than you do. How many episodes are you up to now?
It's 77 episodes. I just posted one last night, so it's like 77.
What are you going to do for your 100th? Have you thought about that?
I haven't.
Throw a virtual party?
That's a great idea. I mean, I just got some fantastic equipment donated and everything, and I'm just trying to get everything, situated so I understand how it works properly.
Going
get
back,
my back.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ashley. I didn't mean to cut you off. Going back to your idea of filming you during games, I love that idea. We're gonna have to put the 18+ explicit rating on these things. But anybody that's interested I would love to see that, because guess what? I got a hint of that 3 times in the SFL's history. This is another fun fact for people. Has there been a coach at headquarters while watching their team play? And boy, is it something else. Stephen Mullinex was here for a playoff game that he lost. Try being in the room with that. I was heartbroken for him, but I'm just glad he didn't turn the Xbox off. I'm just glad he didn't just run over there and shut it off, because then it would have been over. But he was here. Stephen Hacker was here at headquarters for a game last year with the Queen City Corsairs. And then just recently, Pseudo Nakai was here. And wow. That was an experience. I did not know that Pseudo had that much rage and excitement built within him. It was I just couldn't stop laughing sometimes, because it's weird, I'm a non-biased person. I want everybody to win. Obviously, only half the people can win every game.
Right.
But it was just so weird being in a room of somebody who cared so much about what was going on, and then you had me, somebody that was just there, interested in the final result, hoping that nothing froze and it didn't crash. like that's all I was there for, and obviously wanting a good game and seeing how the chat was going and everything. But he was so into it. It was cracking me up. It was entertaining, very entertaining. I don't think our neighbors liked it, but it was very entertaining.
I will say this. One of my favorite moments, and I believe I mentioned this on the show too, a couple times. One of my favorite moments was being at the convention and watching Harish Prasad.
Yeah.
Watching his reaction when his player got hurt, I think it's the beginning of the first quarter of the game.
That poor man.
And he was laid out on the field, and then I look over, he's laid out on the carpet, right next to me. And I'm like, what is going on here? And his teammate, Sully, was there. He was trying to help him up. Poor guy. He was limp. And I felt for him. And we have some of the best doctors, in the SFL to help you out, So he was up and at him that next game, but I felt so bad for him. But it was just that reaction, that I loved. And then just sitting with everybody and being able to discuss, what we could have done better, watching the coaches, because there was a big whiteboard that they were actually writing plays down and seeing how they would beat each other, what plays we were.
Shan was taking people to school.
Yes, he was.
And Andy, I did see your comment in the chat. You are right. You have been here for a game. He actually watched the Atlanta game back a couple seasons ago when Atlanta played Vancouver. Andy's phrase of "let's go" permanently burned into my memory. That man said those two words about 60 times that day. But it was fun nonetheless. So with that, let's get back to some questions over social media. You can tweet us at SimulationFL, and we'll get to all of what you might be interested in talking about. Our next tweet does come from Andy as a perfect transition. What has surprised you most in season 14 of the SFL? And I think honestly, Ash, and I'm sure you'd say the same thing, it's the fact that the top 3 teams in the league, only one of them made the playoffs last year. And in fact, the top 4 teams in the league, only one of them made the playoffs last year. And it's not just these teams are sneaking in. It's these teams are at the top of the league. Vancouver's 8-1, Atlanta's 8-1, Queen City's 7-2, Charleston's 6-3. They all have big games this week. Queen City plays Atlanta Sunday night in primetime on For the Fans 11 Sports. I'll be calling that game. Vancouver's at Houston. That starts our week tomorrow on Twitch. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure to head over to our Twitch channel tomorrow. And then the Charleston Predators also playing on Sunday at Florida, who's another surprise, being 3-6 and down towards the bottom. The 2 teams that were in the championship, both being 3-6. I mean, that has to be the answer, right, Ashley? Or do you have a different approach to that question?
I mean, that definitely could be an answer. I'm not going to disagree that is a good answer. But for me, I think it's 2 things. I think that it's the introduction of our SFLM 8 teams.
Yeah, minor
Great
league.
surprise. Yes, the minor leagues. I'm really excited about that.
What's your favorite team? Ashley?
I would say the Birmingham.
Oh, okay. Sorry, keep going.
I mean, if I had to, guess. But see, then if I play these games, and then all the head coaches are going to be mad at me. Hey, why didn't you pick?
You're in trouble now. You fell for it.
See, you know what? I'm gonna get you back. Don't worry about it. But that is one, and then the turnaround from St. Louis, because St. Louis Gladiators had a bad rap for a long time. I mean, when I started, people just said, hey, I don't want to be on St. Louis because, they're always losing. They're always this. They're always that. And, but no one's ever really in the chats. And they have turned it around this year. And now, and I said this to start, that there were not going to be any undefeated teams this year. No one had an easy schedule.
Yeah.
And so
you're definitely right about that.
Yeah. So for all of the teams that put their best foot forward, they've definitely, and I think everyone has to a certain extent. You can't control what AI does, even though you want to so bad. I mean, it makes no sense for AI to call, the 2-minute drill, and we still have 10 minutes left to play in the first quarter.
You're getting roasted in the chat. It's awesome. Robert Garrett says, boo, Ashley didn't pick Boise.
See, I don't have the chat on for good reason. And then
here's some more. Here, let me tell you. Let me give you some more. Coach Craven, San Jose, all the way. Flight time from Doug Day, Ottawa from Night Ship Boy. That's rough. That is a rough Ashley Jackson. However, Ronnie Nickens says, AJ's so great. Nice voice for broadcasting. So there you go. It's not.
Well, I appreciate it.
It's not all SFL minor league people blowing you up. So that is a good thing.
Let's see. You know what I'm going to do next time? I'm just going to direct them to your personal number and then have them take that up with you.
That's not right. Brian Dynasty on Twitter says, aloha. Asks, where does Cam ultimately think the SFL could go? Own game, huge fan base. So I can tell you that the SFL for years has been approaching companies about a new game, about a game based around the simulation football mantra, right? We've flown out to different cities. We've had conference calls with companies, but it's challenging to to do something like that, right? To create a new game from scratch, to get people to understand like just how big this can be, and so my question or my answer to the question of own game is we're obviously interested in doing that. It is not easy building a football game. I think for all of our frustrations over timeouts taken on 4th and inches, onside kicking too early, for those few flaws, All Pro is amazing. That's why we've chosen it as our sort of game of choice, and we'll continue to do so until it presents an option. But we definitely are interested in that, and I could see us one day having an opportunity to raise a bunch of capital to make that happen. And so that's definitely on the radar, and we continue to have discussions about that with anybody that's interested. A huge fan base was the other part of that question. Brian, I mean, I think we got
the sky's the limit, honestly.
We got a pretty great fan base right now. We've grown over 5 times as large on our Discord channel since doing the television deal with 11 Sports and For the Fans in August. We continue to grow. We continue to look for more platforms. Y'all have been awesome on social media, getting us out, tweeting radio stations and TV stations and things like that. And hopefully we're able to see some of that materialize over the next few weeks. So I think, as you said, Ashley, well put, the sky's the limit. We do not plan to stop. We continue to innovate and figure out how we can be a better league. And that just, that never stops. So,
I mean, I remember there was a time, when you and I were having conversations that you didn't know whether the league was going to last,
That's true. That's true. It's
and now look what happened. We're on TV now. So, like I said, the sky is the limit. We're already reaching a lot of homes. There is some people, I think there was some people that said, before they closed all the bars, they were actually playing some of our games in the bars and everything. So, yeah.
So what you're saying, Ashley, is that you helped save the league, is what you're trying to get.
Well,
you're trying to get the chat back on your side, is what's happening.
I do what I can, one podcast at a time.
A lot of people, including Ashley, have helped. It's a very challenging job.
Mm-hmm.
It's thousands of personalities. You try to do the best for everybody. And one of the reasons why we're doing this show here tonight is because it's very difficult for me to get things done and do right for people one at a time. And I thought this would be a good way to do right by a lot of our community, by offering everybody sort of into my studio, into my home in a way that we've never really done before, and just chat and have some fun and be informative while also getting a chance to say thanks to our great community. Let's get to our next question. This comes from the awesome Jack's Data Analyst Department, and I'm telling you what, as soon as we get a sports book on board, y'all are gonna be the first ones I call. And we're working on that too, because a lot of people have asked on Twitter about what's the line on this. So we're paying attention. Here's the question. Chances that we get SFL Red Zone this or next season now that the FTF merger has firmed up the broadcast. Interesting.
Good question.
SFL Red Zone. You know what? I'm going to revise my earlier statement to Ray Bentley. That is the third hardest thing that I've ever done. The Red Zone is crazy. It is so exciting, especially the last week of the season. I think the biggest challenge with the Red Zone is that what it does is it compacts 4, 5, 6 games into a 2-hour window. That has its advantages, but the disadvantage is it's only a 2-hour window, right? Or it's only a 3-hour window. Whereas if you spread all those games out, we're able to be on television, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. And while it makes for a very long day here at the league office, it does give us all of those opportunities to get more exposure. So when could we see the SFL Red Zone again? Because I know it is quite popular and it is quite exciting. You won't see it this year or this season, but in future seasons, if a weekend is cramped, where our TV partners have just a ton of content and they might only have a couple of slots that work that weekend, given the busyness of events, you might see it come up again. So never say never, and I think that would be something that would certainly play well on like a Fox or a ESPN. Wouldn't you say, Ashley? I mean, to have all those games and all those players and all that involved, crazy.
And that's a great way for me to keep up with all the games, because I do like to visit everyone's game. At least if I stop in for a couple minutes just to say hi, or either I stay the whole game. I do enjoy watching everyone, and so that would definitely help me out if we had the Red Zone back. But then again, that is a lot of work too, and you already have enough on your plate. Lord knows you already have enough. So, yeah.
When the opportunity presents itself, it certainly has been a success in the past, and it's been a lot of fun. And like I was saying, I mean, that last day is so much more compelling when you've got 5 games going on at once. It's I think it could give those that suffer from seizures it could give some problems, but outside of that, it's a pretty fun experience.
Just concentrate one game at a time.
That's right. That's right. Next question from JQ, the new quarterback in the SFL minor league. Excited to see him hit the field. Why the change to a subscription model? Was it all about revenue? So that's a great question. It was not all about revenue. Here was the life of the league office before the subscription model. Can you imagine thinking you cheered 100 bits on Twitch, but you didn't put the space, or you put a space between the word cheer and the word 100? And you go into BitLog and you say, I got my bits in 100. And then I go through our systems and it's not there. Then I have to come to you, the customer. Not only am I now spending time tracking down this dollar, right? But now I have to go to you, the customer, and I have to bother you. Hey, you said you gave $1, but you didn't give $1 according to our records. Well, that doesn't help anybody, right? I'm just trying to track down what happened, and it could have been anything. You could have cheered it as a comment on a prior video. You could have put a space in between. You could have cheered on the FTF channel instead of our channel. You could have, there's so many different things that could have happened, that the system was complicated. The system was problematic, and it resulted in customer service that just wasn't good. It wasn't up to our expectations. We shouldn't have to be coming to customers to ask, hey, you said you gave us this money, but we don't see this money. That was not a way we wanted to operate business anymore. And so we established a subscription model to help relieve that burden, because we now automatically know what subscription you have in our server, and we have full capabilities to track your payments. We can send you invoices. We can send you, confirmations of canceled subscriptions because you wanted to upgrade. We can do all of that stuff very, very easily. And so, yes, revenue's a part of that, but we could have just raised prices in the old system too. We didn't need a new system for that. It was more about creating a more seamless experience for people, so people didn't have to learn how to cheer bits or deal with, you can cheer bits, or you can send to PayPal, or you can do this and do that, and the whole system had a whole set of challenges. So that was a huge reason for the change, and obviously, supply and demand fuels pricing. We are. I do this full time. There's a lot of people that work and spend a lot of hours on this product. And it's not about making money for this league. It's about sustaining, being able to provide a league for this time. And so why anybody asks, why does this cost money? It's simply because it costs hundreds of people a ton of time, and time is money. So I think that hopefully that answers your question, Jay. One more before we let Ashley go. This is from DB, Bulls Darian on Twitter. What city would love to see get its first ever SFL team? And that's a very popular question, actually. What city is next for the SFL? We don't expand to cities because we think they'd be good markets. We expand to cities because the good people bringing us that application have a desire to be there, whether they're locally in that city, or they have a connection to that city, or have connections to that city, with esports and things like that. So we don't really ever know where the SFL is going next. And
I have an
that's
idea.
part of the fun of it. Well, what's your idea, Ash?
I think it should be international, and I think it should be the Tokyo Samurai. I think that they should have the logo should be like two samurai swords together. And I have a perfect idea for the uniforms and everything.
Since you
Am I going to play?
Since you bring it up, I'm guessing you might be one to put in an application.
No.
Okay. Sorry, I thought you were going in a different direction. But
okay, so now
to that, Ashley, did you know that I have formerly run a league with a team in Japan. Did you know this?
No, I didn't.
I wonder if anybody in the chat can go all the way back to the World American Football League days. The owner was an owner in the SFL early on, and she, the first female owner of the SFL, had a team in Japan. We'll give people a chance to take their guesses if they know. While we do that, we'll give some chat shout-outs. DB, Ray Bentley, Jack Brown's in there. JQ's in there. He's the one from Portugal. I did not know you came from Portugal, Jay.
Yes.
So that's awesome. Knockoff Sharknado memorabilia. Wow. What a great business you must have is in the chat. Rosca Santagria's in there. Let's see. Who else we got? That's just YouTube. Tom Pepper, Dynasty, Mike and Proda, Charleston Predators, Coach Craven, Johnny 2K, Doug Day, all in the Twitch chat as well. And we've also got a few viewers on Facebook. I see you, Ron Yates. And we'll, if you have any questions, tweet us at Simulation FL and we'll get to them. Ashley, it was awesome having you here. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you. The pleasure was all mine. I am looking forward to doing this whenever you decide to call me.
We'll answer the Japan team question after the break. We'll get our next co-host up on the line when the chat with me, the SFL commissioner, continues in a moment. Thanks for being here, Ashley.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.
Welcome back to the chat with the commissioner here tonight. I'm Commissioner Cameron Irvine of the SFL. Thanks all of you for watching across all of our platforms. If you were wanting to call in with a question and say hello, we will get you after our next segment. For now, let's answer some more questions before we bring on our next guests. And that next question comes from the great Ronnie Nickens at Deacon Nickens on Twitter. He is a legend around here, former owner started with the Dallas Stars, now the quarterback in Tulsa. He asks, have you ever thought about expanding to simulate all sports, baseball, basketball, golf, and becoming the first controllerless sim organization? Yes, we have. That is a discussion that's ongoing. To pull that off, just to give you an idea, and I know you know this, Ronnie, but maybe those at home don't know, just preparing for the simulations on my end takes about 10 hours a week. That's how long it takes to get everything ready and set up just for the games themselves. So for us to have a sim organization where you have tons of different sports games, tons of different leagues, ultimately what we want to do is, number one, we want to hook up with a company that can provide all of those titles, which, again, we've engaged in some discussions about some of those things. But number two, we need a lot of. We just need to be a bigger entity. Right now, we're still pretty small. Staff is still pretty small, but it takes a village, and it's certainly something that we feel like we could execute down the road. There's no way we can do it today until we get the right pieces in place, the right gaming partners, things like that. But obviously, I mean, I've done commentary, me personally, for any sport you can imagine. I do commentary for volleyball, baseball, basketball, softball. Never done golf commentary. I'm not sure that swing it would be great for golf. I'm really not sure that would catch on with golfers off the tee. So we'd have to see. But a great question from Ronnie. And before we get to our next question, I'd like to bring in our next guest. He is a new coach of a minor league team. He also is a linebacker in the SFL right now, and he plays for the Vancouver Legion. He is one of the Bash brothers, and he is Brian Craven. How you doing tonight, Brian?
I'm doing good, Cam. Thanks for having me on.
You started a new podcast. It's like a short form podcast. I actually quite like it. It's very easily digestible, on just sort of recapping the league as a whole. What's that been like, sort of getting involved in all that?
It's been fun. I kind of had the idea to do it after being on both Kramer's show and Ashley's show, and I don't really know why. I just thought, I might like to do that sometime, and I tried it on a whim almost, and it seemed to be going pretty well. So.
Well, that's awesome. And Brian, I mean, just like everybody else in this league, tonight is about getting to learn more about people, and sort of bond with the community a bit. What's your life like outside the SFL?
It's pretty all
pretty?
national
Well,
disaster. Well, I live in the Northwest. It is pretty. So, national disasters all aside, it's a pretty quiet life anyway. As some people know, I was a high school football coach for 20 years and worked in school districts and stuff. And this last year, I stepped away from both of those things. And I've just been sort of looking for things to fill the gap since then, looking for a different, steady job. And that has been a little bit erratic, that process. But not a lot going on at this point in my life.
Well, that's good. What'd you coach when you were coaching high school?
You mean position-wise? Or,
yeah, position-wise. Yeah, sorry.
Well, I started out as a linebacker and running back coach. I played linebacker. I played more safety. I played safety in college. But I played linebacker and running back in high school. And my first coaching job was at the school where I had played, and they plugged me in there. And I was always more defensive minded, but about 8 years ago, we just had a need for an offensive coordinator on the junior varsity squad, and the head coach asked me if I would do it, and I said sure. And it turned out I was pretty good at it, I guess. And eventually I moved in to be the varsity offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Quarterback, about the only position I never actually played. But again, we were pretty successful. I was fortunate to have good players and other coaches around me, and so that made it easy. But yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last almost half of my career.
So being a virtual linebacker, how does that compare to coaching in high school and being around ball players?
Oh, it's for me, it's not the same at all. Just because, as you brought up several times, I don't have any control over that, and so I'm sitting here watching that and I'm going, "Oh, come on, that's not the right play. That's not the right. What are you doing?" But what it does do, similar to coaching, air quotes, real football, is the locker room relationships, the camaraderie, those things like that. And I really like the chess match of it, and being part of I also scout for Vancouver, and being part of that and knowing what Charles and Andy have put in place going into the game. It's fun to watch that and see, okay, that's working out. Those guys made a great decision this week on that. Or sometimes, once in a while, not as much this year, it's not working out like we thought it would. That's disappointing. So I really enjoy that. That part, definitely.
Would you ever record yourself while you're watching the game?
No, nobody needs to see my face, so that's not happening.
You just
it's
somebody just got to. Your Bash Brothers partner, Doug, got to. You guys watched the game together. What was that like?
That was fun, and man, I wish I could do that every week. I wish I could do it with more people.
Right.
It was a lot of fun. It's funny because watching like the NFL or college games, I don't like watching with other people because, to be honest, most of the people that I would be watching games with don't really understand football,
Right.
and so they're saying all these dumb things. Oh, that's not holding, and I was like, it's totally holding. It was the right call. Stop, oh, that quarterback sucks. No, the quarterback doesn't suck. It's just things like that. And so I tend to like to watch them by myself, but watching our games with someone was awesome. I really enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah, well, that's cool. That's cool. It's good to get to know you, a little bit outside the SFL, and glad we're able to provide an alternative platform to keep you involved in the game. That's what we're all about.
Well, it came in. I discovered this quite by accident at a really good time. I had just about a month before, one of my older brothers had passed away suddenly, and you're kind of adrift. It was unexpected, and then about 2 months after that, another older brother passed, and to have this and the camaraderie and the people here to be part of something larger than myself was really important for me at that time, and I really enjoyed it, and have continued to, obviously. So yeah, I'm grateful to the league for that. It's been good for me.
Let's get to some more questions here. This comes from Mark Mello. He says, are there any plays from the 2K8 playbook that are illegal in the SFL? Yes,
Ooh.
There are. So, funny enough, trick plays don't get called. AI doesn't call them. And so in order to not manipulate the rules about run play, pass play ratio that every team has to follow, those are eliminated. So you can't turn in, there's no reverses, there's no halfback passes, there's no flea flickers, there's no any of that. And we'd love for there to be that, but can't escape that. There is another, it escapes me, and I don't know offhand, Mark, so I'm very sorry, but there is one play that was deemed to be too overpowering. It is in the rule book. It is illegal. But for the most part, I mean, everything functions as it should. There's no real play that dominates a lot of teams. It's more about ebbs and flows, right? You might see teams in the league doing a lot of similar things, and as soon as somebody puts together the blueprint to stop it, it's over. You just don't see it as much, and it's that copycat league where if somebody starts doing something that's really successful, as everybody starts doing it successfully, it feels overpowering. But then somebody stops it, and everybody kind of calms down a little bit and says, no. That's fine. We didn't really know what everybody was throwing at us. It happened really fast, and all that stuff. So it's fascinating to watch the evolution of coaching in the league because you see those ebbs and flows, and I would talk in more specifics about plays, but then I'd just be giving it away. So you'd have to watch film yourself to try to identify those trends, and I'm sure people in the chat will identify them for me. Next question, this comes from Plagues7 at Plagues7 Twitch. Why isn't the SFL marketed as the best fantasy football experience available? And the answer to that question is that not every time, but often people's most common misconception about us is when I say I run a football league where players get to be on the field and they get to be, they're on TV or whatever. They say, oh, like fantasy football. No, because this doesn't. They think of fantasy football as NFL players. They're thinking that it's like fantasy football, and that's what it must be, fantasy football, and that's not necessarily true. We take the word fantasy, and we're using it in a different way than traditional fantasy football. Fantasy football is implying that a team of all-stars can come together. You get to have a team of all-stars. Our fantasy is you get to live out a football fantasy. And so it is different. They are similar. They are different. Fantasy football is certainly a component of marketing, but to start with it, it's been quite challenging. What's your experience like, Brian, trying to tell people what the league is like?
Well, I have actually had that. I had that fantasy football misconception. About 2-3 weeks ago, we had a get together, a bunch of my friends that I've grown up with, about 10-15 of us, just potluck get together type of thing. And I had just done like maybe my third podcast or something like that. And I had shared that with one of those friends, and they said, hey, I liked your podcast. And so naturally everybody goes, podcast? What the heck are you talking about? And from that, I ended up explaining the SFL. And the first thing out of like three of them, like all at once, is, oh, like a fantasy football? And I was like, no, not exactly. And so, you explain it. So it's been a little bit like that. I've had a couple of friends that I tell them about it. They sort of roll their eyes at me a little bit and like, really? You're a football coach. You're playing video games? It's like, no, no, I'm not, and you kind of explain that. And the funny thing is, and I said this in my most recent podcast, I had 3 friends text me over the weekend that aren't part of the league, but they just started watching games. And they were going, this was awesome. One of them was watching the Sioux Falls London game. One of them was watching Florida and Tulsa. And I can't remember what the other one was. And they were just talking about how cool it was and how fun it was. So I think I have run into that fantasy football, also just the video game thing. Like, yes, it's based on a video game. I can see why you would think it's fantasy football. Trust me, it's not. And once I explain some of those things, then they usually get it, and they're usually interested.
And what we say to a lot of people, just me and our marketing team, is esports and sports are the same. They are talent on a stage or on a field that is viewed by the, quote, regular population. The population that is not skilled enough to be on the field or on the stage. We break that barrier and we put the person that is not athletic enough or not skilled enough, and we say, yeah, you are. You can be. We don't, because there's no barrier. So come right on up. Come on up onto stage. Come on out onto the field and participate and be in the spotlight. And what I like to say is we put the fan in fantasy, because that's what it's about. It's not fantasy football. Great. It's fan football. And that's kind of our mission and how we approach trying to really get people to understand what exactly this is, because there's so much depth to it that we try to, it's hard to keep things as simple as possible. But great question, Plague 7, and certainly we are a component of fantasy football. Just try not to confuse people right off the bat. Okay, so here's J. Christian Gary at ChrisGary92 on Twitter. Hey, Simulation FL, 2 questions. Two questions? This guy, man, how'd he sneak 2 questions in, Coach? I have
the
no
nerve
idea.
of that guy.
I didn't say that. How will the SFL change when 2K starts working on a new NFL 2K game? So the first answer is not a dang bit. We don't anticipate that 2K game to be simulation-based. We are not actively working with 2K on that game. We attempted to reach out to 2K, contact them years prior. 2K left football in its past, and that's fine. And now they're back in business with the NFL, but they're not either they're not interested or they're not able to create a simulation football product based on EA's agreement with the NFL. So we don't anticipate that having any change into our business model. We'll see what they put out, and then hopefully at least it's an enjoyable quality product. Then the second question is, I've been wanting to get back in the SFL for about a year or so as Jamari Mito. Oh yeah, Jamari. For SFL enthusiasts out there, you might remember Jamari Mito. If I can't pay to return as a player, would it pay for me to get on commentary? So yes and no. Right now, commentators don't get paid. That's not always going to be that way. As we continue to add staff and continue to grow as a larger league, then we can offer that for commentators. We have 22 different commentators, so it's our single largest department in the SFL outside of just the ownership group. But what it does do is, if you are good at it and you do have an interest in starting a career in it, we can get you on TV. And all of our commentators are able to take advantage of, and some have gotten jobs in broadcasting because they have been able to find their way onto television in front of thousands of people doing their calls. And so what I always tell broadcasters these days is, look, this is a platform to launch a career in this. I got my job. I've gotten a couple of my jobs because of my broadcasting in the SFL. That's what got me in the door. When I started at Texas Wesleyan, I was a contractor, and I was the analyst on sporting events. And now I'm the assistant sports information director. And that was only because I met with their sports information director. I gave them my footage, and I said, okay, would you do me a favor? It's a weird request. I felt pretty confident, though, in my skills. I said, can you please close your eyes when you listen? And he kind of looked at me, and he said, what? And I said, just humor me. Just close your eyes and listen. Because I didn't want him to be like, this is a video game, right? I wanted him to see. I wanted him to hear, honestly, I wanted him to hear that the call was good, that the quality of the work was up to par. without him judging what had actually been going on. That was because we weren't on TV back then. Now, you don't have to hide behind it. You can say I work in esports and I've been on TV 20 times and here's some of my best calls. So if you're interested in being a commentator, Mike Daggs, the director of broadcasting, is the person to contact. Him, Chris Curtis, who was on earlier, assistant director of broadcasting, will get you set up, will get you a tryout, get you through. And the broadcasters can attest it's you don't have to be an expert to pass, right? This is a teaching environment. I take my skills that I've learned. Curtis takes his skills that he's learned through the years, and we're able to help people out. And Brian, you've heard tons of SFL games. The SFL broadcasters they're not always perfect. They're a little rough around the edges at times, but I mean, the passion for the league makes up for that.
Oh yeah, and it's frankly, and it's partly because of our league and because of it being a community. Even when it gets a little bit off, it's still fun because we kind of know these people and we care about these people. So it to me, that makes it fun. I love it when people kind of get off script a little bit, and maybe you and Charles get to the point you can't stop laughing, or the brick meter starts becoming a thing, and they start laughing. I love that stuff, and that's part of the fun of the broadcast for me. There's nobody that I queue up a game and I go, oh, it's these guys. Darn it, I'm going to mute this thing. No, it's part of the deal, and it's really great. And I've thought about maybe trying to get into that, but I don't know. One thing at a time, I guess.
Rich Pratchett and I have a funny relationship where that reaction of these guys are calling the game, that's what I give him on a regular basis behind the scenes. and I almost said something just then, but I bit my tongue. That would have been a little too harsh even for me. But love Rich, and he does an awesome job on his calls every week. Okay, how about from the farmer? Is that supposed to be former? The farmer Denver Nightwings head coach. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe it is supposed to be farmer. Is there a max on teams that will be allowed in the SFL? No, there's not. I can sit here and say we're not going to go past 24 teams and pull an MLS. But I'm not going to sit here and say that there's a max. We could end up back at 56 teams one day, back where I started all those years. But obviously, things would have to be radically different. But if you include the minor league in with the major league, you might get there. We're halfway there. So no cap. But obviously we grow only for what we can manage. How about this one from Delaney Nash Russell? Is 20 teams the cap? And if not, how far would you expand the league? So to answer that question a little bit differently, we will have expansion this season. We're going up to 22. And it's the first time we've expanded in a while. And we really only expand when we feel like we're in a position that it's not going to strain our resources and hurt the product. And I think that over this season, and everything that's happened in it, and television and growth and all that stuff, we're really in a rhythm, in a groove. You guys should see what it's like. And I've contacted some film crews selfishly to say you got to get in here and do this. What it would be like being here at SFL headquarters, watching me bounce from game to game to game to game to game on those 6-game mega Sundays. That is me. It's so impressive by our broadcast team. Everything is organized, and our broadcast team has specific channels in which they enter, like portals, and they're just waiting for me, right? Waiting for me to be done. So I'm producing one game. We get off the air with television. I say, all right, TV, I'll send you another signal. I'll be right back. Then I go into the next room, the next portal, basically, to join another broadcast team. Hey, how's everybody doing? Everybody great? All right, 3 minutes. Everybody good? All right, here we go. and getting another sim ready and working with a totally different broadcast team every commercial break. We go off the air, we talk, about storylines and what's next, or that was a great call, or what the heck was that, and all that. And it's just constantly going from broadcast team to broadcast team from broadcast, and it's such a seamless transition for anybody that's been in the SFL for more than a year. Remember how many games started late? Like all of them. I'm terrible. TV told me from the very beginning. Now, if you're late, that's going to be a problem. So it really strengthened our operations because we found out a way to be more efficient. We found out, and our broadcast team has stepped up to that challenge, and we feel really good about where the product is today in terms of our efficiency in being able to churn out content. We make over 20 hours of content a week. We feel good about it, so we're ready to expand, and we certainly have built up a huge base of what am I trying to say? Of processes that help us do what we do. So that helps. Here's one from our very own Denver Nightwings on Twitter. What has it been like as the commissioner of the SFL to see previous expansion teams or new teams grow over the years? Also, what are your expectations for the 2 upcoming expansion teams? So the first question, what's it like to see them grow? I mean, just awesome. I think that the Denver's obviously a great story. I mean, San Antonio came into the league. Greg Corky used to own that team. They were really good. They made the playoffs, or they didn't make the playoffs in their first year, but they improved, made the playoffs in their second year. And the owner, life got in the way, wanted to start a business of his own that was unrelated to us, and the team got sold to Denver. They were bad the first season. They picked it up in the second season and then ultimately won their championship. And that's so much fun seeing. And it's not even just the expansion teams, but it's teams like, the Jacksonville Kings or the Atlanta Swarm is a great example this season where, these teams are really good organizations that have never won. But even though they've never won in terms of a championship, I mean, the growth of their franchise from when it started to now, Atlanta has almost 350 followers on Twitter. They are an esport team without any actual, people playing and personalities playing. That is an achievement all on its own, and they're a quality organization and a team that just, I mean, it's not to say that they were terrible at the start or anything, but it wasn't what these teams are today. All of the teams across the league, Charleston is a great example, Tulsa is a great example. St. Louis was mentioned earlier, Sioux Falls. These teams are really starting to figure out, okay, we're getting some traction here. People are interested in us. People are noticing us. People want to be fans of us. They come to the Discord and say, hey, I'm a fan already, right, of Houston or whatever the case may be. So it's really fun seeing franchise growth and seeing people really hone in on and owning this ownership. My expectations for the 2 new upcoming expansion teams, just like with any expansion teams, my expectation is they will raise the bar. I look to them to raise the bar. They're going to do everything that SFL teams do now, but they're going to do it better and with more pizzazz and with more energy and effort, and that helps the rising tide float all boats. We're only as strong as our weakest link. That helps the bottom of the league say, hey, look, I got to get it together because look at these teams coming in. Look at how they're operating. So my expectation for those expansion teams is that they're going to they're going to be big. Coach, last words before you head out.
Well, I just want to want to say I'm really looking forward to the last 3 weeks. I mean, I was looking forward to my first season as a player anyway. I just was so excited, and I can't believe that we're already in week 10. But my goodness, these last 3 weeks are going to be amazing. Got all these teams fighting for. Am I correct? Nobody's been eliminated mathematically
That's right.
yet?
Nobody has been eliminated from the playoffs.
Man, come on. That's awesome. We're going to
3
have a
weeks to
lot of
go.
hearts get broken over the next few weeks. But that is just awesome. To have that kind of parity is so fun as a fan. And I am obviously, hey, Vancouver. I'm on Vancouver. I want to win. I want to win big. Sorry, not going to be PC about it. I want to kick your butt. I don't care who you are, but that's part of being a competitor. But as a fan, to see that is so cool. And I have enjoyed, and I don't know if roster expansion is partly responsible for this, but I've enjoyed seeing some variety as to how teams go about it this year, and to see that continue to go. Charleston's a great example. When I noticed that they were fully committed to the 2 tight end set all the time, I thought, hey, I want to see how that works. It's worked very well. I love the Sioux Falls power running game that they do. Jacksonville, they don't make any. They don't apologize. They're going to sling the ball a lot. It's been so fun to watch, and I'm really looking forward to all of that as it goes forward. And
the Sioux Falls Seattle game is a great example of that variety on Tuesday. Those are the top 2 rushing teams in the league, and the 2 teams play totally different, two totally different styles. So that one's going to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all right, Brian. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. Appreciate the time, my friend.
No problem. I'm going to have you on my show as soon as I get all that figured out.
All right. Sounds great. You have a good one.
You too.
All right. Before we get on to some more, let's see if we can't get a caller on the line that's not going to be co-hosting with us tonight. We'll give that a shot. Tweet us at SimulationFL. If we don't get to your questions on the air, we might do another one of these next week. If you in the chat have comments about whether you would like that or not, we would love to do that. Now we almost had him. We almost had our first call. We're going to try again. Let's see. This is the part of the show that always makes live television interesting. All right. Now we have Rosca Santagria. Did I say that right?
You said it correctly, my man. What's going on, bro?
Awesome, man. Hey, great to meet you. This is the first time I've ever gotten to talk with Rosca. He's a new rookie in the league. He's listed as a corner or a
cornerback number 35.
And you're waiting on your team assignment, yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's
all
me.
Right. Well, we look forward to getting you on a minor league squad. What was the you got a favorite team reveal yet, or you don't want to blow it?
So far I'm a toss of Desperados type of guy, but
minor
league,
all right.
I don't.
What about the minor league?
I'll see what the minor league has in store within the next few weeks. Probably.
Well, of course, you're a Tulsa. You're on Tulsa right now, aren't you? Yeah. That was a crazy game with Florida, but y'all are having a great season.
It was a very good game, man. I like it so far. I like watching these games. It's very energizing when you see it.
So, what is your question, Rosca?
I'll make it short and sweet because I feel like everybody else answered the previous questions. But do you guys have a video editing team that's in the making? Because I like video editing, and I think it would be cool to see more unique videos of SFL's gameplay.
What'd you think of the highlights this week? The highlight packages.
I like them because when I first came in here, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to make some highlight videos for Tulsa. And then now I'm seeing the highlight videos. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. How do I make a video editing team so we could do this stuff? It was very awesome.
Well, you can contact me and we can get something going. And if you'd like to lead a team like that, I'd be interested in getting you set up with some stuff.
I'll give it a shot. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, well, before I let you go, Rosca, great question because, well, I mean, I do video editing. We do have some. I know we have some talented people in this league.
Oh yeah.
It's there's a lot of departments, a lot of priorities, a lot of things, and so a lot of times video editing is all about time. And does everybody do the people have time? Does the league have time? And so we certainly want to devote more time to that department. But before I let you go, tell the SFL community a little about yourself. What's life like for Rosca outside the SFL? Great profile picture in Discord too. You're partying.
All right. So let's see. Day to day. I'm gonna say. Ooh, where do I start? I'm like a jack of all trades. I'm a project manager. I do music. When it came to sports, I started off as like a rowing team, like a coxswain, and my school's rowing team. Football wise, I got a few interceptions like on some backyard football, but I was never like NFL. I'm about to be like getting touchdowns on TV, so I like the SFL for that. I've been doing pretty well, just doing some film projects, and I've just been very happy with myself and staying quarantined. That's probably the most important part of all.
Right. Well, good for you, and glad to hear, you're happy about where your life is right now. That's always great to hear that positivity.
Because I'm thinking about it like, man, like, we used to have to go outside to play football. Now, like, SFL came in so clutch. I don't have to go outside to play football. This is awesome.
There you go, man. Some might have said that we came along 10 years too early, but we've been here all this time and we're ready to deliver for everybody. So, Rosca, thanks for calling in, man. It was good chatting with you.
All right, man.
All right, let's see. Who else can we get on here? Just a lot of people wanting to be guests, and if you sent me a message wanting to be a co-host, I would love to have you on the next iteration of this show. Let's see. Maybe we can get another question in here. Let's pop in and see how one of our owners is doing. See if we can get an answer. I called him sporadically. I don't want to put him on blast if he doesn't answer. Are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm there.
Good evening, Colin Northrup. How are you?
I'm good.
You asked a question earlier. I thought you might want to ask it on the air.
Well,
You are on the air. Do you know? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Shoot.
Well, Cam, in the wake of recent events, I was perhaps wondering, what is the situation of the SFL convention? I know the situation's fluid.
Yeah, so I think what we're doing right now, for those that don't know, the SFL convention is slated for the third weekend in July, or 2 weekends after July 4th, the 18th of July in Jacksonville. They're the hosts this year. And right now, the convention is still on. We have no plans of postponing the convention or moving the convention. However, with that said, we're monitoring what, number one, first and foremost, the CDC is saying. They released the declaration that groups of over 50 should not congregate. That was the nationwide sort of proclamation, and that was about a week ago. They said for 8 weeks, so that takes us to about mid-May. As the situation continues to evolve, we'll make the call about the convention when we know that it's really affecting our dates. I'd be lying to you if I was saying, for sure, we're definitely going to have the convention, because I really don't know and would never want to put the health and safety of our people in any harm's way. So because it's in mid-July, still a bit away, it's about 4 months away, we'll we're just continuing to look at it, Colin. But hopefully this whole thing dies down. Hopefully we can get at least some medicine that helps weaken it, or maybe some warm weather, or maybe, we don't really know what's going on out there right now. It's just about staying safe and healthy. So my answer to your question is it is still on, but we'll see how things shape up. And if you didn't know about the convention and you are at least interested in attending, and you're not in our convention channel on Discord, please send me a DM and I will add you to that group. We do have a partnership with a hotel already. We've got our rates, things like that. So we've done some work on the convention, but we gotta stay safe and healthy first and foremost, so that we can continue to have a great league. So I don't think that's the definitive answer you might have been looking for, Colin, but that's what we got today.
Thank you, Cam, for the information.
How you doing? You staying all right?
I'm fine. I aced an online test, so I'm feeling pretty good. So,
Is it? I would imagine, Colin. Is it easier or harder to take a test online?
Well, it's a little bit easier, especially when it's open book. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But
open book for the win.
But it's different,
Right. Well, keep acing those tests, my friend, and good luck this week in a big game with Arizona. You got any last words for Eddie Gage?
Well, I just hope for a competitive game, and may the best team win.
Well, there you go. Arizona, St. Louis, two teams battling for playoff. In the playoff picture, that starts our quadruple header on Sunday on television. Colin, have a great night.
Thank you, Cam.
All right, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're going to come back with our last segment, and our last guest co-host will answer more questions and more when we come back. The Chat with the Commissioner here on the SFL's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch channels, all that good stuff. We'll see you shortly. Stay tuned. How are you, sir?
I mean, if I'm gonna scream, I might as well make it now. I'm doing great, Cam. How
That
you
was
doing tonight?
not the scream from the draft.
Trust me, I've got some evil eyes being shot in my direction, so that was all the scream I got in me right now.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, welcome, Ray.
Thank you very much, Cam.
Ray Bentley, for those that don't know, the Hall of Famer, came in a priest's outfit for his ceremony. For those of you that weren't at the convention, the footage does exist. And maybe if we don't have an SFL convention, or even if we do this year, we're going to show all of that Hall of Fame footage. And finally, Ray's literal interpretation of my instructions will come to light.
Well, again, you said church clothes. There was no more. And I have a priest's robe, and what am I supposed to think with church clothes?
Yes. So Ray, everybody knows you as the fun-loving. Is bouncy a good word? Are you bouncy? Ray?
I would say it at heavier weights, yes.
Sure. All right. So the bouncy, ever lovable Ray Bentley, number 3, by the way, in chat rank. I know chat rank doesn't matter anymore, but do you know who's number 1 and number 2? You know who's got you beat?
Oh gosh.
It's
got to be someone
pair of
much
players.
worse than me.
Harish Prasad and Rochelle Colston.
There we go.
Number
Clearly.
1 and number 2, repping the Skyhawks on this show.
Well, I'm gonna have to increase my output, so give me just 1 second. I'll be right back.
No, we need you on the show to finish out the show. So you're very active in the chat, but what I've asked other guests this: what is Ray's life outside of the SFL? What do you what's your story?
Well, it's I hate to say it's a real boring kind of standard story of.
We're all boring.
Oh, thank God. Oh, I feel much better now. Well, then it's extremely exciting. I come from Richmond, Virginia. I'm the son of 2 radio hosts, actually.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Actually,
my
my mom was on Q94 WRVQ as a morning show host for about 20 years. And my dad did traffic, weather, and things like that before becoming an art teacher. Ended up teaching my wife in kindergarten, which is another very bizarre fact of my strange life that has nothing but coincidences and thanks universe moments. But I'm a fan of Green Bay through and through my dad, and my mom is now as well a fan of the Packers, and we just kind of enjoy hanging out, watching football, playing video games, and doing some other things from time to time, as I'm sure the chat's well aware of. It's a nice life. It definitely, looking at me, seeing me on the street, you wouldn't know that I'm a championship MVP. But if you give me 2 seconds, boy, will you.
Right? You should get a tattoo of your trophy and put it on your leg. Just wear shorts for the rest of your life.
Much easier than having to lug it around everywhere. So I'm going to actually start. That's a much better idea. Goodbye, football medal. You're getting off.
If you got a tattoo of the champion, the even just an Aztec logo, I would be shocked. You would. I
don't
think
know
you'd be
why
the
you'd
first.
be shocked.
Well, even for you, that's a pretty dramatic life decision.
That's true. That's true.
Let's get to some questions.
All right.
Let's see. From the community, we've got Tom Pepper. You know Tom.
Hey, Tom. Right. How's it going?
He asked, was Stevens in bounds? I think you're the perfect person to answer this question, Ray.
Oh, gosh, was Stevens in bounds. You're talking about all those other catches he made, right? We're not asking about a specific non-catch made the way I say back in season 9, because clearly, according to the referees, Cade Stevens was not in bounds when he caught that football clearly in bounds. So that is my final answer, and you can make of it what you will.
For those of you that don't know, this goes back to the season 9 semifinals. Vancouver, it appeared like they had a championship or a championship appearance in hand. There was a review. The pass that went for a first down was overturned. Vancouver ended up punting, losing the game. Ray Bentley was in that game. They were in Mexico City. Now Cade is an analyst on the SFL. I haven't gotten a chance to say this personally to him, but his grandfather passed away, and I'm so sorry. He's been out for the last couple of weeks. Was very close with his grandfather, as was I, as I told the earlier story tonight about him basically launching my sports career with his idea. And he comes back full bore this week with his broadcasting partner, Eric Vincent. So really excited to see Cade Stevens return to the broadcast booth and get him back going. So I'm looking forward to that. One of the many storylines this weekend that I'm looking forward to. Another one from Plague 7. We know the league is expanding by 2 teams. Will the pro rosters expand this season? TBD. We're monitoring the minor league and subscriptions and TV growth and all that stuff. And we try to get those numbers out as soon as we can, but we do not have them yet. So sit tight. Ray, do you have any questions for me, the SFL community? How would you like to spend our final minutes on this wonderful chat tonight we've had with the community?
Well, I always assumed it would be in a quick fire riddle round between the two of us where we would try to stump each other for dominancy, but I actually only know one riddle, and it's about newspapers, and I think everybody else knows it too. So I'm actually going to back off that one and say that I am absurdly unprepared to ask questions both to you and the league writ large. In my preparation
all right,
for the show.
I'll give you one then. What's it like having a fullback snipe your carries?
Oh, gosh.
Shout out Phoenix Jones.
I didn't realize you were that vicious and would go straight for the heart.
That's what happens when you don't have a question. I get to ask mine.
Oh, here's the thing. Phoenix, I met him in Boston when we did the draft. He's an awesome guy. And I'll be totally honest. I said I had the MVP championship. I've done it. I've been there. And seeing Phoenix get to rise, much like his name, it does my heart good. Much as you've tried to stab it just now. Pardon me, I've got the coughs. But it's really good to see, not just Mike Daggs get attention on the team, but somebody else for once. And I'm a big fan of Phoenix.
How many times in the locker room does Mike Daggs say just throw it to the tight end? I've always been curious about that.
So if you're asking just the locker room, that's going to be a lesser number because he doesn't stop once we leave the locker room. It's on the field. It's in practices. I think he sent me a carrier pigeon the other day with just the eyes motion like I'm watching you on it because he just wants Wilson to throw to him. But I'd say about 4 million times a day.
That's
conservative
accurate.
estimate.
I believe you. Before we head out, does anybody in the chats around the league have any questions for me about me that you don't know, that you've always wanted to know? How did I get so beautiful? Anything you have to say.
Did you get so beautiful?
That was not serious. Anything you want to ask before I go, now's your time to, you have my ear. You get an inside look at what my life is like when I hit stop streaming and walk away. I kind of told you a little bit about, how the SFL got here, but not necessarily about, Nacho says on Twitch, I did ask about your hair being so slick. How do I do it? Water and diligence. How about that? Blue Maple 15.
What are both of those?
Somebody needs to tell Ray about water and diligence. Blue Maple 15 on Twitch. What are you the most excited about for the future? Just whatever life has for me, honestly. This has been a wild journey. I mean, who would have thought that my life would be what it is? Just enjoying every moment, just trying to get games out, honestly. What am I looking forward to the future? Not screwing up. That's probably the most accurate answer. Lord Destro Productions asks, I have a question. When is your wedding day? November 12th, 2021 is my wedding day. So there you go. You don't know what church yet necessarily, so you can't crash it. And I'm sure if all of you were invited, we would run out of money. So sorry, but I have not received word from my fiance how many people I can actually bring, since she has 9 brothers and sisters. So she's kind of hogging the guest list. Will Mrs. Kamish be attending the convention? She will if she's not at a festival. She might be at a music festival. Of course, she's a college professor and teaches at the college level, and she goes to a lot of festivals in the summer. So we'll see. Let's see. Mike Improda asks a question that's biased, so I can't say it on the air because my crystal ball doesn't work that way. Let's see. What did have I missed anything? Why do you keep putting Queen City into our projected playoff path? That's so true. It's the 3-6 matchup right now. Wow, that's crazy. For those that don't know, Queen City and Sioux Falls have met in the playoffs like every year. I don't know what that's about. Robert Garrett asked me another biased question on YouTube. Jack Brown wants a happy birthday. I can certainly provide that for you. Happy birthday, Jack. So back to the hair thing. No hair gel, Garrett. None of that. Andy asked, would you laugh at my punter joke? Did you hear the punter joke?
I did not. What was the punter
anything.
joke?
That answers that question.
I'll laugh at that one.
Yeah, I think we put a bow on this. I think people have heard me yap long enough.
I disagree, but
but yeah, let's quit while we're ahead, Ray. There we go. Thanks for ending the show with me on a high note, and thanks to all of you who participated tonight, viewed live, viewed on demand. I hope this was informative, helpful, educational, fun. A great way to spend your evening not being outside and not getting sick. Looking forward to this weekend. Starts Saturday at 9 Eastern. We're going to have a lot of fun on TV, on our own networks. If you're listening on YouTube, Tuesday, March 24th at 9:30 Eastern is your next game. If you're on Twitch, your next game's tomorrow at 8 o'clock. And for all of you, don't forget twitch.tv/FTFnext for all the games we are on TV if you want to watch us online in that way. One more question. Mike said, any new SFL gear coming out in the league store? On the off season, I think we'll be getting a few more pieces of merchandise, so look out for that. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks, Ray. Say goodbye to all the people.
Oh, goodbye, all the people, and happy birthday, Jack Brown. Have a great night, everyone.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for being here.